Hey guys, Ezra here and welcome back to this video. And on today's video, I want to talk about the Resident Evil movie news, because I'll be honest with you guys, I was actually really hungry for a new Resident Evil announcement, because I love the franchise, and it's again same scenario with Final Fantasy VII. I actually watched the game, not necessarily playing the game, because again my PC could not handle a AAA game, but I watched Resident Evil since 2017 and I absolutely love that. Love it, and Resident Evil 7 is my first Resident Evil game that I at least pay attention to, and I absolutely love that, and I became a fan ever since, and of course that Resident Evil has many movies, and I think six of those movies are actually the Paul W.S. Anderson movie with Mila Jovovich, and that movie is actually my childhood, believe it or not, like especially in back in the zombie era, in the early 2000s. That yes, I was a big fan of those movie, and I wasn't really aware of the source material that it was actually based on the game by Capcom, and once I know the that it was basically based on the game, my retrospective review of that movie kind of becomes like worsened, because it was nothing like the game, and obviously they tried to reboot this movie with Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City, and it wasn't a good adaptation because it was boring, and I think the zombie doesn't even appear until 1 hour into the movie, and the cast and characters doesn't even look like the counterparts from the game, so it feels so detached from the game, even though there is so many reference, in the movie, but it feels like Johannes Roberts, the director of Welcome to Raccoon City, seemed just to be putting this many references just like, hey, like, you want to be faithful to the game? Here's a reference, to the movie, and I feel like nothing more besides that, so it's kind of disappointing. And then we get the Netflix series, which is absolutely weird, it's a weird series, man, but I think this new announcement of the Resident Evil reboot kind of excites me, because of the director they will choose for this movie, Zach Cregger, which is the director of Barbarian, and according to the Hollywood Reporter here, Zach Cregger is going to tackle the Resident Evil reboot, with igniting bidding war between some company, and one of these companies are actually Warner Brothers and Netflix, and I'm assuming there's going to be more company that's going to be revealed in the future, and if you guys don't know who Zach Cregger is, he's the director of Barbarian, which is the 2022 horror movies, and I highly recommend you guys to go watch the movie. I think if you guys watch Barbarian, basically, blind, you have no idea what the movie is all about, then I think that's the best way to experience the movie, because the way Zach Cregger write the characters and then direct the movie, and obviously came up with the story, I think there is several twists and turns in Barbarian that could surprise you, because I was certainly surprised when I watched the movie for the first time, and I love it, and Cregger are obviously from that movie he was a talented director, so that's why I have hopes for this new Resident Evil movie, we also got some new information that Constantine Film, which is the production company, is gonna be involved once again, and then they're gonna be working together with PlayStation Production, which PlayStation Production also announced like several PlayStation movies, in the past, so we'll see what happens about that, and the movie will be co-written by Shay Hayton, who wrote John Wick Chapter 4 and Zack Snyder Army of the Dead, and I think the upcoming Ballerina as well, so yeah, I think based on this information alone, I have hopes for this new Resident Evil movie, that I know that a lot of people are like super jaded about this information, or like super like basically super worried that, oh, we're gonna be disappointed again, which I get it, man, because like the previous Resident Evil properties, it wasn't a good adaptation, even though I think the first two Mila Jovovich movie I think are good, because they were based on the game, but again, the rest of them feels like its own thing that doesn't have anything to do with the game, so I understand that. And Welcome to Raccoon City was supposed to be the movie that hooked back the Resident Evil fans, and it was certainly made for the fans, but I feel like the movie failed to become like an entertaining movie, or like basically stand on its own, while being faithful to the game, because it feels like Johannes Roberts' idea for being faithful to the games are actually just putting a lot of reference in the movie. It's like, hey, remember this from the game? We put it in the movie. That's cool, right? Like, okay, sure. So for Zach Cregger's movie here, I'm really hoping that he doesn't just like put many references just like Johannes Roberts did, because that's not how you should make a movie, man. Because I feel like when you are making a movie, then yes, you should be faithful to the source material, which is Resident Evil, but you also need to make the movie for the general audience, like treat it for the first time that people doesn't actually know anything about the characters and the Resident Evil games, and that's why I think that's how I think Zach Cregger should make the movie, that just make it feels like the first time people actually know Resident Evil, and not just like embracing the wild storyline from the game itself, because the game storyline kind of gets pretty wild, after some time, so I don't want Zach Cregger to go to that direction yet, and I'm really hoping that this first movie, I'm really hoping that he just adapt the first game, which is from which is the Spencer Mansion, and I also wanted to see another remake of Resident Evil 1 remake. I think that would be really cool on R8 engine, maybe it's gonna be announced in 2026, who knows. That's like the 30th anniversary for the franchise, that would be cool. But yeah, I really want Zach Cregger to actually just adapt the first game, and only the first game. Don't be like Johannes Robert, where he decided to adapt two games at once, Resident Evil 1 and Resident Evil 2. Like, it's too big and the budget doesn't really cover that, and that's why his movie looks really cheap, so it seems like in this one, because there is a huge bidding war between the studio, it seems like the studio are willing to put a large amount of money into this movie, presumably, because Zach Cregger also has a second movie coming called Weapons, and that also ignite a bidding war between several studios, and then I think the budget for that movie was actually 38 million. So based on that information alone, it seems like this Resident Evil Reboot movie, because it does have a bidding war between its studio. It seems like the studio are willing to put some money into the movie, and that's a good information, because if the budget was too small, then I don't think Zach Cregger can adapt the game, because I think the game has so many creatures and bioweapons, and obviously I want the creatures to be practical effects, and then maybe mixed with some CGI, in some capacity, so I think it's a good information that the studio are similarly willing to spend some money to make this movie, but so far that's like the information that we had on the Resident Evil movie reboot, I am cautiously optimistic, because of Zach Cregger, and it seems like it's gonna be the movie's gonna return to its horror roots and be more faithful to the initial game, which date back to 1996, so I'm assuming it's gonna adapt the first game, hopefully, just the first game. I think that's the right way to convince people that, hey, we could make a good Resident Evil movie, for once, right? And it seems like Zach Cregger are a talented director, so that's why I'm feeling hopeful for this Resident Evil reboot, So yeah, so far that's the only information that we had, so we'll see what's gonna happen. In the future, we're gonna get to see more information about what's the new movie is gonna be about, because I only assume he's gonna make the first he's gonna adapt the first game, but it could be a brand new original idea by Zach Cregger, I think that would be awesome. Yeah, sure, I'm down for that, as long that it was actually a good adaptation for the franchise, and especially the characters, and hopefully that he Zach Cregger can cast, an actor or actresses that can actually look exactly like the video game counterparts, because like the Welcome to Raccoon City cast members seems to be so different compared to the game's counterparts of the characters, and I don't want Zach Cregger to follow that, and by just casting a actors or actresses that doesn't really look like the characters from the game, I don't want that, so hopefully he can be more faithful, not only in terms of the story, the horror, but also the casting, that's also really, really important, so yeah, I mean, that's all the information we have for Resident Evil Reboot, guys, so let me know, guys, in the comment section below, like, what do you guys think about this information right here, are you guys actually more optimistic about this information because of Zach Cregger, or do you guys actually still a bit more pessimistic, that you have no idea what's gonna happen, maybe you think that it's gonna fail again, I mean, again, we don't know, right? We don't know at this point, but I want to be optimistic, but that's just me. So let me know your opinions in the comment section below, and also another question, guys, do you guys think that we might get to see a new Resident Evil game announcement this year? Because, because like there is a bunch of rumors about Resident Evil 9, and then there's a Resident Evil 0 remake, and there's even a rumor that the Zach Cregger movie is gonna be a Resident Evil 0 remake, but I don't know, man. I don't think that's the case because again, it wasn't revealed. It might be just a brand new original idea by Zach Cregger. That's also a possibility, you know. But yeah, let me know your opinions about all of that in the comment section below, guys. And if you guys enjoyed this video, then make sure guys, shoot that subscribe and like button, guys, share the videos, do some stuff, stay tuned for more videos in the future, and again, I hope you guys enjoyed this new information about the Resident Evil reboot, and I will see you guys in the next one then. Bye.